Came out in October 2023, I think, on BMG. It's like their 16th studio album or whatever. All right, so why I didn't jump right on this. Oh, shit. Hey folks, I'm Dave. Welcome to the basement, and it's time for a July CD wrap-up video. And if you caught my vinyl finds vinyl update last week, you'll know that I didn't have a lot of time to listen to stuff, but I do have a few things here that are pretty cool, so I want to talk to you about them. But as bad as not getting time to spin records and CDs has been for me, what's worse, in my opinion, is I just haven't had time to watch your all's videos very much. That my watch time every evening has been sucked up by other stuff, so I am way behind, and especially you guys that put out several videos a week. Man, I'm buried. It's going to take me years to catch up, I think, but I'm working through it. I'm trying. So if you put out a video and 2 weeks later I'm finally commenting on it, that's why. Just working through the backlog, guys. But I will try to catch up as soon as I can. But you're not here to talk about all that or listen to all my gripes. You're here to look at and hear about some music, I think. So let's start with an album that it's a newer release, came out in 2023. It's one that by a band that I normally would have jumped all over, but there were some things that kind of held me off a little bit, and we'll talk about that in a second. And I'm talking about the album Dance Macabre by Duran Duran. Came out in October, I believe, 2023 on BMG. It's like their 16th album. And so why did I hold off on picking this up? Three main reasons. So the first one is that it is a concept album, and it's not that I have a thing against concept albums. I absolutely do not. But there's a CD there. Yeah. But it's, you know, a synth pop concept album. So that seemed kind of weird to me. So that was kind of a hesitator. It wasn't so much a deal breaker. Another thing was that when it did come out and I started to see some feedback on YouTube from you guys, it was kind of lukewarm. It wasn't entirely positive. So I was, okay, all right, let's hesitate a little bit more. And then the final thing, which I actually knew before it came out, was that it's got 6 cover songs. I think 3 were reworkings or covers of their own songs. So it just felt to me, you know, the cover songs are one thing, but when they cover themselves, it just feels like a money grab to me. So I was just kind of turned off by it. Now, I knew sooner or later this was going to be in the collection, but I wasn't going to pay an MSRP for it. And eventually, yeah, I happened to see on Amazon it dropped below $10, so I sprung for it, and here it is. And yeah, so okay. As far as the cover album goes, it's you know, it's supposedly a Halloween party themed album. It's like it's supposed to be some sort of gothic, dark, haunted Halloween party, and this is the soundtrack for that. And you know, I definitely can hear that. All right, so you know, right, God, I'm gonna ramble, so I'm gonna try to cut this short. I could make an entire video just on this one album. Not that it's great, but there's just so many interesting things going on in this album that I could literally break this down track by track and talk about it, but I'm not going to do that. So for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to talk about the 3 songs that really stood out to me. And the first one is Black Moonlight, and that is one of the original compositions on this album. It's a nice dance tune, and it definitely has that dark Halloweenish vibe to it. So yeah, that fits perfectly in with that concept, and I enjoyed that. Another one is Secret October 31st, which is one of their reworkings of Secret October that I think was a non-album track or something in 1983. And now I've not heard the original, and I probably, now that I think about it, I probably should have streamed that before I started doing this video to do a side-by-side. But as far as this version goes, I definitely enjoyed it, and it has a very nostalgic feel, you know, nostalgic Duran Duran 80s synth pop feel. And I think that, you know, might mean that it's not much of a departure from the original. Again, I don't know, I should have done my homework, but I didn't. But I enjoyed that song. I thought it was one of the highlights of the album. And then now get into some of the real covers. They do a cover of Paint It Black, the Rolling Stones song. Now, that's quite an interesting version that they do. And I like it. I thought I enjoyed it. But Painted Black is one of my favorite Rolling Stones songs. So I sort of feel kind of dirty enjoying this interpretation of it, if that makes any sense. But anyway, yeah, if you haven't heard it, check it out, and maybe you'll see what I'm talking about. So all right, to summarize, this is certainly not one of my favorite Duran Duran albums. It is somewhere down the list, but it is chock full of a lot of interesting things that are going on. Like I said, I'm definitely going to be pulling this off the shelf again to give it a couple more listens to try to absorb what else they got going on. And I'll probably definitely start doing that around the Halloween time frame, get into that whole atmosphere and try to just absorb it as the way they actually intend it to be absorbed. So, oh, and another couple of things on here that I forgot to mention. This also features guitarist Andy Taylor on a few songs that, see, it's been like 2004 was the last time he was with the band. And Warren, was it Cucurello? He hasn't been in the lineup since 2000, so that was kind of cool. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Is this obviously it's not one of their best, but where do you think this falls? So yeah, this is Dance Macabre by Duran Duran. All right, and in the previous video, maybe, I have mentioned that my wife is a Madonna fan. So one day I was at the thrift store and I ended up finding Music by Madonna, which is her 8th album. Came out in 2000, I believe, on Maverick Music. And so yeah, I thought I'd pick it up. I mean, it was like 99 cents or something like that. Why not? And give it a try. So interestingly, it debuted at #1 on the charts when it came out. I did not know that when I picked it up because I wasn't even aware of this album to begin with. But once I put it on, I could hear some similarities to like Ray of Light. You can definitely hear that in a lot of the songs here, but there's so much more going on. She's really introducing a whole host of new influences and techniques, which I thought was very interesting. And then I also, another aspect of this album I thought was interesting was that there's definitely a mood shift, if you will, from start to finish. So it starts with this electro pop that you kind of expect from Madonna, and then as the album progresses, it kind of morphs into something more moody, subdued, almost melancholy, which was definitely interesting. I kind of like what she was doing there. A couple of tracks on here that stood out was the title track, Music. I guess that in itself was a #1 single. Again, didn't know anything about it, but apparently it was pretty good. I dug it, and my wife was grooving to it, so there's that. It gets a little bit of extra bonus points as a song. Another one is What It Feels Like for a Girl, which has got some really smooth beats to it, good energy, and a very solid message that I appreciated. But my favorite track on the album was Amazing, or the song title is Amazing. It is, well, okay, the song is called Amazing. I really dig the guitar tone on that and the underlying 60s sort of backbeat. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by this. It's not one of their best, or one of her best, but it was enjoyable. So I'm glad I added it to collection. So yeah, this is Music by Madonna. All right, let's crank up the heaviness just a bit and talk about Moonspell's 12th and most recent album, Hermitage. Came out in 2021 on Napalm Records. And now Moonspell is a Portuguese Gothic metal band that I've been following since I first picked up since the mid-90s. I picked up their second album, Irreligious. Their sound is of course dark. It's heavy, typically sort of gothic doom death, but much more doom than death. Huge on atmospherics with keyboards and such. Harsh and clean male vocals. So yeah, I really enjoy this kind of stuff that they do. Now this I knew with anything from Moonspell that you're not going to get headbanging speed metal. But even for Moonspell, this album just feels really really tired. Nothing, you know. Okay, so the title track, I really like the atmospherics on that. It kind of harks back to what was grabbing me from by them in the first place. Great variety to the vocal style. The other track on here that I dug, now I'm probably not going to pronounce this at all correct, but it's Apophthegmata, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, nice, really heavy riffs, lush, haunting atmospherics from the keyboards and electronics. Those are two songs that I dug, I enjoyed, but you know, aside from those, nothing really grabbed me or held my interest. So it's tough to really recommend this even to fans of Moonspell. If you're not familiar with the band at all and you're interested in Gothic metal, check out Darkness and Hope. That was probably their best Gothic album. If you want the earlier heavier, where they were more doom death, check out Wolfheart. That's a really good album. But this one, yeah, unless you're a completist, I would pass. This is not where you want to start if you don't know anything about Moonspell. But this is Hermitage, sorry, by Moonspell. Okay, and it's time to take it a little bit local here. This is Variant by a band called Vasum. Came out in 2019. It is self-released, and it is their debut album. You cannot get this one on vinyl. Well, it was never released on vinyl. So if this is going to sound interesting to you, then it's a CD only purchase. So Vasum is a post-punk band out of Detroit with strong Depeche Mode and Bauhaus influences. In fact, they've got two songs that they cover by Bauhaus. She's in Parties and The Passion of Lovers. So two Bauhaus tracks there, which, you know, they did a decent job on it. But the track that I enjoyed the most is one of their originals, and that's Iceman. It's got some nice melodies. It's a little dark, not very dark. Strong 90s feel to it. In fact, I hear a lot of REM influence on that particular track. So if you can find that, check Iceman out. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This was a really strong debut. Now they are still together. Again, this came out in 2019, so not that long ago. But they are no longer a band. They are just a duo, and they just had a new album come out, I believe, in April? Maybe. I don't know. Sometime around the last couple of months. So I got to get that one yet and add it to the collection. But for now, this was I thought a solid debut. And if you're into that whole Depeche Mode sort of post-punk sound, see if you can find this one, or if you happen to come across it, don't hesitate to give it a try. So this is Variant by Vasum. Next up, we have Second Great Awakening by Fireball Ministry. Came out in 2003 on Nuclear Blast Records. This is their second album. Also, this one is not on vinyl either, so this would be a CD-only addition to your collection. Now, Fireball Ministry is a stoner rock band from California, originally from Cincinnati, I believe. And over the course of their history, they have had kind of a rotating door of bass players. And on this one, the bass is handled by Janice Tanaka, formerly of L7, which is pretty cool. So this album, this was the one, well, all right, the song King off the album here was the song that kind of really broke them out and got them sort of into a higher tier in the stoner rock world. And it's really a great song. That's my favorite album, or favorite song on the album. Another one is Master of None, which has a really nice chorus and riffs. It's just really a fun hard rock song. And runner-up for my favorite is In the Morning, which just super great riffs on that one. But yeah, this is definitely an above average heavy stoner rock album, and I really enjoyed it. So if you don't know anything about Fireball Ministry, give this one a try. This is the Second Great Awakening. And last up for today, back here in Michigan, this time in Ann Arbor, this is Super Mega Fantastic by I Am Dynamite. And this came out in 2012 on Brando Records, and it's their debut album. And I Am Dynamite is a duo here of Chris Martin and Chris Phillips on guitar and drums, respectively. And they both share vocals. So, yeah, a guitar and drum band from Michigan, guitar and drum duo from Michigan. So obviously that's going to draw comparison to White Stripes, and that's fair. You definitely can hear that on here, but I also hear maybe, you know, comparisons to the Hives or even Weezer wouldn't be unwarranted. Their sound is just, you know, upbeat tunes, garage rock, punk influences, strong vocal melodies. I mean, the vocals are really key. It's almost a third instrument. And to highlight that, if you want to check out a song, is Stereo. Great vocal melodies, super high energy. I think that's the strongest song on the album. Another one though is Hey Girl, which actually comes just before Stereo. It's I really like the vocals on that one. Again, this is where it really comes out as like a third sort of instrument, how they just do their harmonies and the melodies, and they really do a really good job. I was really impressed. I really didn't know much about I Am Dynamite, or hadn't heard much about them, or hadn't heard any of their music until I picked this one up. So I was pleasantly surprised, and might be worth checking out if you're into that whole White Stripes, Hives sort of thing. So yeah, this is Super Mega Fantastic by I Am Dynamite. All right, guys, that's what I added to the CD collection in July 2024. If you know any of these albums, or if you happen to check them out after watching the video, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and I appreciate you taking the time to stick with me through the video. So yeah, have a good one, and I will talk to you soon.